Hey, this is Frank Nieto with Vision Quest Auto, and today we're going to be reviewing this car, which is the 2024 Land Rover Defender. And we're going to be talking about how this compares to other Range Rovers and Land Rovers, how it compares to other off-road vehicles in its class and out of its class, and also just how much of a luxury vehicle this really is. And just whether I think it's worth it, break it down into some of our categories. So let's get to it. You walk around, as you can tell, it's got that retro look. And by retro, it's not going after the 60s look that you see with Bronco. It's not going after the 40s look you see with the Wrangler. It is going after more of that 80s look that Land Rover had. These are more that kind of round shape, but square round shape that Land Rover had then. It's got that Defender splashed out there. Grille, very kind of 80s, even early 90s looking. The other things it's got here is some more modern cues. This isn't really doing anything. It looks like something that you could step onto, but this is pretty just there for looks, to be honest. This has no actual purpose except to look kind of cool, which I'm not sure if it does that, but it's not bad. Got this. This is definitely functional. This is cooling off car, and yeah, also looks cool. Again, a little bit more of that retro look. Down here you got these great Wrangler tires, big beefy ones, really nice wheels, you know, functional, but has some form to them, a little bit of cool looks to them, but very open wheel just to get that heat off there. So pretty nice. Here's something I'm not a big fan of. I don't like the door unlock button being on this side. I wish it was over here. It's something minor, just your thumb goes here. It's a little bit more awkward to kind of unlock and open here. I find myself having to hit this and then go over. It's minor, but I'm not a big fan. I also just wish that you could just unlock it by doing this, if that's the case, and then if you had to lock it this way, it doesn't sense to unlock and lock the door this way. So you actually have to hit that button. It's very minor, but I'm not a big fan of it. So that's there. I do like this. This is another thing that's just there for looks, but it's really pretty nice looking. I think it helps the car stand out, and you know, nice badging, just a cool design cue. And that's more of a modern touch, to be honest. I mean, if you look at this shape on the side, this is more of that retro, and again, you know, the 80s 90s retro more than, you know, 60s retro, but it's really cool. This is where you get the really modern elements, and this is the parts that, you know, I think most people really do like, but there are some who don't. Of course, I just took this off-roading, so it's dirty, but I like these. It reminds me a little bit of like that, you know, the First Order or, you know, the Empire look. Like there's just something very Star Wars about these taillights. I really like them. I think they're a standout feature. They look really cool. Also really like this, and this is a bit of a retro element as well, you know, going back to the 80s. When I saw this, when Land Rover released photos, I assumed that this was all plastic and that maybe this was locked, you know, the way that some of the minivans and stuff back in the 80s were, where they'd have that lock on the side to lock in the wheel. Instead, as you can see, this is vinyl and it just pops right off there. There you go, there's your wheel. But I love that it's got this hard plastic on the back. It just makes it, again, stand out from things like the Wrangler and the Bronco that have these spare tires on the back. You know, they just have these vinyl covers, and you know, this has got a little bit that hard edge. It's a cool thing. It's got the logo right there. I like that. This is actually the first category that I have, which is the fat guy in a little coat, something that doesn't quite fit. And this is an extreme nitpick, but and it also could be a you can't see me award, but I have another choice for that one. But you know, this handle doesn't come out. It's got a little bit of a trigger there to open it up. The one thing I don't like about it is, you know, Wrangler Broncos, when you shut this, there's usually a button up here that can lock the whole car. You can't do that back here, so you either have to take out the key fob, which is right here to lock it up, or you have to go back around to the side of these door handles and hit it. It's not the biggest deal, but you know, just pointing out that if you shut this car and you were going over this way, you have to pull out the key fob and lock the car. It's very, very minor. My point is, it's one step of inconvenience. It's extremely minor, but just considering that other cars that have these side swinging doors in the back, that they have the lock button on there and this one doesn't. So I'm just gonna ding it a little bit by saying that it's, you know, something doesn't quite fit, because I would have put that there. Good amount of space, not the most, considering the car's length. And this is going to lead us to our John Cena You Can't See Me award. Alrighty, so again, this is the what can you not see? I think you can see it now. I took up the cover from here. And what it is this is actually a 3-row SUV. Okay. And I honestly say this because I didn't know this when I first got it out here. Now, when I got it delivered, now, okay, you can see if you use these third rows. Actually, I really like this cover. That's pretty cool. I like that, like the way that it blends in there. That's nice. But if you can see, there's really no storage. You know, I could probably, here's my stuff that I took out. I could probably fit my camera equipment right back here. That's about it. There's not really any room. You might be able to fit it. A small roll-on, maybe sideways, maybe. As you can see, no real foot room back there. So it's, yeah, that's an extremely tight space. I gotta be honest, I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do with that. It has cup holders and they have USB-C ports, which is pretty cool. Here, I'll swing back around to show you. I mean, while you're getting your foot destroyed, you actually have heated seats on this? Holy crap. That's insane. Oh yeah, there you go. I'm sorry, there's the USB-C. I was looking, I knew I saw them earlier. Yeah, USB-C's there, that's cool. You actually have a heated seat, look at that. This third row has no foot room. I mean, I guess you can shove your feet under those second row seats. It has nice cup holders. Those are pretty cool. It has your own climate control over here. That's nice. And heated seats, that actually really shocks me. You got these cool windows back here too for the third row. I mean, you don't get the sunroof, but you do get those cool things. That's kind of neat. I gotta be honest, that's pretty cool. You know, there's some thought to this. I also noticed, I think you can hack this second row a little bit. Hey, I haven't really had these seats down before. Let's see. Yeah, man, look at this. You can hack it. Look at it. It's like, if you get in this second row, so I guess, you know, if you're not going to carry 5 in that second row and you're going to carry 6 people, I guess that those people can kind of throw their legs up through the second row a little bit. I don't know. I think this is more, if your kids are annoying each other, they can take a step back here, but I mean, it's gonna be a road trip where you don't have luggage, or you're putting your luggage up here, I would think. Not really sure. I'm really trying to figure out the use case for this third row as anything except an emergency, and I'm struggling with it. I guess it's a nice to have. I don't think I'd pay the price, but like I said, this is definitely a John Cena You Can't See Me award, because I could not see that this is a 3-row SUV, and that was a shocker. So there you go, John Cena. can't see me. I'm gonna have one other thing. I actually just lowered the seats with the camera off. Kind of wish I had the camera on. I'm gonna just note they were feisty. All right, I'm not done with this third row yet. I noticed a couple of other really cool things. Like Land Rover's made some pretty neat little moves. You got these straps here that can hold stuff. I don't know what, but it can hold stuff. You got these little clips. That's for your seat belt. You got a couple of other clips. You know, here, tie down air, you know, things. You can lower the tailgate, lift the tailgate height. Not actually, there's no tailgate, but you can lift the tail up. Cool elements. I am curious, just for anybody who owns a Defender and they bought the third row, I'm curious, how often do you, if you could just respond, I'd really appreciate it. You know, how often do you use it? Do you find it useful? Do you regret purchasing it? If you've just watched this now, have I changed your mind buying this third row? Just would love to hear your thoughts. So yeah, let us know. One cool thing, and you know, I love this. This is again this cool blend that Land Rover's done between, like I say, workmanlike and luxury, and it's got this really nice padded feel to it, leather-like. I don't think it is leather. This may be metal handle. It's nice. This is cool stuff. But they got these exposed rivets. I really like that. I love that it exposes the paint. Again, a little bit of a Wrangler Bronco touch, where you can see, you know, most of the time you just see the paint around here. This is usually not something you see in cars, you know, so I like it. I like that they did that. I think it's a cool design cue. These rivets, again, you know, you could have covered them up. I love the way they look. I think that they add to the car. The pocket is not the most useful. You know, you're not going to get really much of a water bottle in there. This is cool netting. It's not going to be the best there. These aren't the fanciest. You do have heated seats back here. The similar dials as you have in the back. You've got your outlets. Let's see what outlets they got. So it's a USB-A. That's interesting choices that the USB-Cs are back there, not in the second row. I'm not sure what to make of that. These seats, really nice. They clean off well, but they're really soft leather. You know, it's a standard back seat. It's not the fanciest, but it does the job. It's nice. I do like the way this looks. There's a good amount of room. Like, you know, you didn't get third row room, but this second row is pretty good amount of room here. That's nice. I like that. All right, so we're going to come around here to the front now. Again, you know, this mirrors that second row. Again, not much of a room. You have a little bit more room. You could turn your taller bottle sideways, I guess. It has a really nice Meridian sound system. You know, a few months ago, I reviewed the Range Rover Velar. Similar, you know, sound system. I don't think it quite sounds as good as it did in the Velar, but I think that's more because of the road noise that you'll hear in the Defender compared to it. So I think the sound system is just as good, but it doesn't work as well in this car, if that makes sense. So another cool design here is this. You know, I'm not a big fan of this plastic. I think that Land Rover did that just to break up a little bit of the darkness in the car, so I think they added this. I do like the exposed rivets. Again, I like that design touch. I think it's really cool. I'm gonna hop in here. Again, this is really comfortable. You've got a digital display. You've got your infotainment system screen, which I think is really nice. It's a good size. It's not the biggest, it's not the largest. Another thing that, you know, this car definitely wants to showcase its utility. And so you have open storage throughout. So it isn't just in that third row. It's up in the first row here. You know, again, you know, you see this open. You can even fit stuff, you can't really see it, but you can fit stuff behind the infotainment screen. This goes all the way through. You have this for your second row. The person riding shotgun, they get the USB-C outlet. So that's really cool. You can even fit some stuff up here. This is open, so it's like a grab handle, but it's a really nice grab handle where it's leather. This is really nice texture. It looks upscale. I like that it has the leather wrapping around here. You've got this wide open sunroof. Doesn't go to that third row, but it goes all the way through the back, if you can tell. That's really pretty nice. A lot of light in this. This is interesting because of the shape of this dash. You do get your vents in a weird location, and it looks like they may not be the most cooling, but honestly, it works really, really well. I haven't had a problem once you adjust them properly. You get down here, this is wide open. You know, your hand goes all the way through here. Good size cup holders. Really nice charger, which is cool. A deep, and you got your deep storage in there. This is also interesting. It's got a lot of leather. They chose to rubberize this. Of course, you know, this is rubberized in the Bronco and the Wrangler, but that's because their doors and roof come off. Doors and roof do not come off in Defender. I mean, I guess they could, but they're not made to be taken off, and I don't think you'd be able to get them back on. So, I mean, they come off in the sense that the way that every other car manufacturer's doors technically come off, but, you know, they're not really going to come off, and the roof isn't going to come off. So my point is that the only way this is really going to get wet is if you have the windows down. I think it's just to give you that look. This does raise and lower on its own, which is nice. All your information is here. Of course, they're all digital displays. You know, which is cool. They also have that analog look, but they're all digital. There's nothing that's not digital on this display. Thing I'm not a big fan of is this shifter. I'm not against it. I'm just not really for it. By that, it's a weird shape. You know, it's fine. You can raise and lower your heights here. So this is going up. Normal height selected, and you know, you can feel it. I'm gonna go up one more. Off-road height selected. As you can see, you might be able to see that it raised. And now I'm gonna lower it back down to normal height. And you know, you've got your hill descent. The thing about this is that it doesn't look like there's a lot of off-road mode settings here, right? Like you've got your low, you got your traction control off, you got your height adjustments, and you got your hill descent. But it looks like there's not a lot else. But the thing about that Land Rover does is they've got these cool displays, and these displays actually are, because they've got this digital display, these buttons are multi-purpose buttons. So watch, I'll show you. You hit this starts to select your off-road modes. Now, where you're seeing it at is that this just becomes a regular dial. It's taken off that stuff. And if you look on the screen, now, see, we can go to Echo, normal, and it's comfort, grass, gravel, snow. You got your mud ruts. You got your sand. You got your rock crawl. And you got your wade. It's a nice steering wheel. It's got most of your controls here. You know, you can control your music that way, control a phone. This is your selection button, volume, and heated steering wheel, and all of your cruise control settings. You know, traditional driving stocks, the one thing that is weird is that this is a return to center headlight one. So it doesn't, so you see this button, this mark here, that's where it's always going to return to. So if you flip to auto all the way there, it's actually going to pop right back down to that. Similarly, if you turn them off, you actually have to go all the way down. So you hold it in this line. So if I wanted to just get the regular headlights on, I go like that. See, the headlights are on. If I want them in auto, I turn them there, hold them, and then let it go. It's not a big deal. It's very easy to get used to, but just something I wanted to note. One other thing I want to note here is that if you can see here in that, hey, there I am. If you want to look right back there, see how much you have a blind spot looking back. You've got that wheel, you know, the tires back there, the headrests are blocking your way as well, your view. So again, most cars, not most, but a lot of cars are getting this, and I think that in this case, this is really something you're gonna or need to have more than you'd want to have. Like I drive with this off a lot of the times, but if I'm backing out, I definitely want that on. And it's a really crisp display, as you can tell back there. So is base price for this model, the 110S, is $67,900. The heated windscreen, heated washer jets, and headlight power wash are $500. The family comfort pack, manual heated third row seats, 3-zone drum, blah blah blah. That is $2,600, and I gotta be honest, I would not spend $2,600 on that third row. Air suspension packet, $1,600, sure. Black exterior pack, I mean, yeah, $650, whatever. The color is $1,500, $1,550, I should say. Leather upgrade is $1,500. I mean, there's a lot of things that you start thinking there. The 18-way heated and cooled memory front seats are $950. That's not a bad price considering the other prices around here, but when you start to look at kind of the options on a Land Rover is really where you start to get things driven up, and that's true of pretty much every luxury manufacturer, that those initial prices are pretty solid, to draw you in. Alrighty, so we're gonna start our driving test. I'm gonna give you some driving impressions here. All right, so right here we're on some pavement, very, very smooth ride. Compared to other off-road vehicles like the Bronco, the Wrangler, 4Runner, much, much smoother ride. This does take turns a little bit wider than Bronco and Wrangler, about the same as a 4Runner, but it is a little bit more top-heavy, or not so much top-heavy, it's just like not as tight turning, not as agile as those. We're going to be doing a little bit of, more bumps here, and you feel them, but again, this is this is smoother than what you would find in a Wrangler or Bronco. Handles just as well. It's extremely capable in any kind of things. Now, I've taken this through its paces a little bit more, didn't have the GoPro out at the time, but this thing can handle anything you throw at it in any way possible. This is an awesome vehicle when it comes to everything. And yeah, it has more on-road manners than a Wrangler Bronco. Probably a little bit more rugged driving than you would find with other Range Rover, with Range Rovers and other Land Rovers, to be honest. All right, so next category here is what song I think this car is, and this is another one that took me a little bit of time to really think about what I thought this matched up with. And the way that I came out with is, we've talked about the retro styling, we talked about this return to what Land Rover has traditionally been, and with that in mind, I thought of a new Eminem song, Houdini, which harkens back to both his past as well as the Steve Miller Band's past. So you've got this interesting thing where he's sampling from Steve Miller Band's song, which which has been a big hit, and then he's also he's sampling back to a Steve Miller Band song. He's also going back and using lyrics and beats from his prior albums, from his heyday. So it's an interesting approach, and that's where I think that this gets it. You see something like the Ford Bronco, and that's going back to a heyday, and it mixes in stuff, but it mixes in stuff in the interior. The Defender is going back to a different time period, but also not being afraid to embrace the present and the future. And I think that that's something that's pretty interesting, and it reminds me a lot of M&M Houdini. So that concludes our review for this week. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, really appreciate it if you could like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, we'd love to hear them. Always very responsive. So for Vision Quest Auto, this is Frank Nieto, and I'll see you around.